Street. We've got Rubbing Elbows with Tommy John, and our guest is the handsome and athletic Johnny Bench.
All right here, Joe. Here it is. High fly ball, left field. Foster's got a shot. They're tagging up at third. Here comes the throw. It is in time. Doyle is out. Foster to bench.
I grew up in a small town of 661 people, Binger, just like finger with a B, Binger, Oklahoma.
Now, wasn't that close to where Mantle grew up?
No. It was actually, we were southwest Oklahoma City. He was almost all the way up to the Missouri border. He was the Commerce Comet. Yeah. The Commerce Comet, and he was born in Spavano. You asked me about Mantle. I'll say.
Mickey Mantle was the greatest switch hitter the game's ever seen. He was a powerful hitter. He could hit for average, and he was impossible to pitch to because you couldn't bring anybody in, lefty or righty, because he was equally powerful from both sides of the plate.
Mickey Mantle was born on October 20th, 1931, in Spavanaugh, Oklahoma. Trained by his father at a young age to bat from both sides of the plate, Mickey became a deadly hitter in high school.
When Mickey was growing up, his dad after work would take him out to the field, and his dad would pitch right-handed when Mickey hit left-handed. And then they'd bring in his grandfather, who would pitch left-handed, and Mickey would bat right-handed. So he got to see the left-hander and the right-hander, turned into a pretty good switch hitter.
My dad, he always wanted me to be a switch hitter. He would work in the mines all day, and then he'd come home at night and take tennis balls and stand me out by the garage and pitch to me till dark.
Mantle was signed to a minor league contract with the New York Yankees, and by 1951 he was playing in the big leagues.
Mantle had some of the most enormous shoes anybody's ever had to fill, and Mickey Mantle had to endure boos for years before he was accepted because, for no other reason, he wasn't Joe DiMaggio.
Joe was as kind as he could be. If I would go up to Joe DiMaggio and say, "Joe, what did I do wrong on that play?" He'd say, "Sit down, son." And then he would tell me exactly what I did wrong.
Over the next 18 years, the Mick, as he was called, became one of the biggest stars and the highest paid player in baseball.
Every time Mantle stepped to the bat, the pitcher and everybody on the opposing team was afraid that a home run was coming.
Despite numerous injuries, Mantle dominated the major leagues. He hit 536 home runs, winning baseball's Triple Crown and 3 MVP awards, and led the Yankees to 7 World Series championships.
One of the things that people sometimes don't understand about Mantle is that he was one of the most beloved teammates ever. He would be in the lineup every day regardless of what was bothering him. He stayed in the lineup, and his teammates loved him for that.
I was 3.5 years old when I was watching the broadcast, and the announcer came on and said, "Now batting the next superstar, the switch-hitting center fielder from Oklahoma, Mickey Mantle, of course." And I looked at my dad and I said, "You can be from Oklahoma and play in the major leagues? That's what I want to be." And he said, "Well, catching was the quickest way to the major leagues and what the major leagues needed." Because my dad, his dream was to be a major league catcher. And the war came along. He dropped out of school. He served 8 years in the Army, never had the chance. So he wanted one of his sons. I was I was the youngest of 3 boys. And he started the team, and I was going to be a catcher, although I very seldom caught. I was a pitcher. We only had 10 boys out for the baseball team. And in Little League, we barely found 9 guys to play because a town of 600 people, you had to go knock on doors and try to find a kid that could play.
It's amazing that you're one of the best catchers that to ever play the game, and you had a hard time being a catcher when you started out. That's pretty daggone good.
Well, I was 84-3 lifetime pitching, so that had a little bit maybe to do with it. So,
yeah. What if you were 87-0? Would you have been a pitcher?
No, I hit 643, so they thought that was okay to go along with the catching. In fact, I would pitch the games, and I only pitched the finals. I pitched the finals of the county, the finals of the district, the finals of the by-district, finals of the regional, finals of the invitation, finals of the state, and I took infield as a catcher, so the scouts could watch me throw. And then I went down to Anadarko, Oklahoma, and that may not sound like something you know, but it was right. We're close to the same age, obviously, but you've got Dodger history on your side. Well, they had a third baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers by the name of Darrell Griffith. And
Right.
Daryl's brothers and I played together in American Legion ball. So there were a lot of scouts coming down to watch them play. And so I was kind of a residual. They saw me play as well. And I was playing American Legion baseball when I was 15 with the Griffith boys.
You were playing American Legion ball at 15?
Well, there really wasn't much competition, Tommy. I mean, we didn't have teams. We didn't have enough players barely at 13 and 14. So Anadarko was 20 miles away, and I would drive down there and play. There was another kid named Matt Kuykendall that played with the Cubs for a little bit. So I would drive to Anadarko, and that was the only chance I really had of playing during the summer. We just didn't have any other leagues.
So you signed to play pro baseball when?
1965. I was 17. I got I was drafted by the Reds in the second round. The Reds had very little. I didn't even know they were on the radar. The Cubs really wanted me, and the loose lips at a convention, somebody said, "What do you think about this kid Bench?" And the Reds guy said, "Well, we're not that high on him." And they walked out the door and said, "Who's Bench?" They haven't even heard of me. Had no chart, and they sent 2 scouts in, saw me play 2 games, and one liked the way I threw. Now, here's something, Tom. If I would have been a Cub, they had Randy Hundley.
Right.
So I'm in the major leagues when I'm 19 years old. I don't know that would have happened in Chicago. So it was very fortuitous.
The big red machine up in the sky had something planned for you.
A great team needs a great nickname. And the Reds had that in the Big Red Machine.
Because at that time we were the best team. We were very confident. We didn't think anybody could beat us.
There it goes, a long drive. If it stays fair, home run.
I was so nervous from the night before when they tied it up. That was a nightmare. I didn't sleep all night.
It wasn't the end of the world, so to speak. It just meant we were spending another night in the great city of Boston.
23-year-old Will McEnany now is going to try and win this World Series for the Reds. And if he gets this save, it'll be the biggest of his still very young career.
Tony Perez said to me, he said, "Skip, hey Skip, take it easy. We're going to take care of you. We're going to win this thing for you."
Right now, Joe Morgan, fluke single in the center is the difference of this dramatic series.
I had no time to ever think we were going to lose the World Series. That's just the mindset I had. I had total confidence in Bench and Morgan and Perez and Geronimo and Griffey.
There's a fly ball to right fielder Ken Griffey, and 1 down.
You're in a World Series, you wish it would go 30 days. That's why you play the game of baseball.
McEnany's delivery. There's a ground ball to Concepcion. The Red Sox are down to their last out. The Reds are 1 out away from winning the World Championship.
Now we're ahead 4-3, and we got to get them out.
Carlton Fisk on deck. Last time Cincinnati won a World Series was 1940. Carl Yastrzemski gets a standing ovation. Well, maybe it's fitting he has the last shot of the series.
Never forget the last out. I got down in the lower part of the steps where I could just see through a little bar like that. And I'm just kind of seeing him, and I'm not seeing him. McEnany's pitching. Left-hander, and he threw a pitch and he swung.
There's a high fly ball.
Yeah, I thought a very good swing. I said, "Oh my goodness." And I ran up the steps.
It should be all over. Geronimo's under it. And Cincinnati has won the World Championship, beating the Boston Red Sox 4-3. The Reds win it in Fenway Park. They wanted this one badly. After winning 108 times this year, they ran up against a ball club that extended them right down to the final inning of Game 7.
I never appeared on that field. I was so tired and exhausted, I could not have made it.
And the Red fans should be proud of this ball club. After the Red Sox dramatically won it last night, the Reds playing on the road could have blown it tonight, but they didn't. They got behind early, 3-0. They hung in there, and they beat the Red Sox 4-3.
Either. No, you know, things happen for the right reason. And the right reason for you was you were meant to be a Cincinnati Red.
I guess, and and to be able to play on that team, and then, we had a great team with Lee May and Tommy Helms, and then we traded them to Houston, and we got Joe Morgan and Geronimo and Minky and Billingham, and wound up being even better. And that's when we really had the great years through the middle 70s.
Really, you guys had a good, yeah. I seem to remember that.
Good. Well, this was a mental test on your part. Okay. They asked me, "Can you come on and help Tommy? He's slipping a little bit." And I said, "Well, that means two slippers are on the same podcast, because I can hide my own Easter eggs. It's really good."
It's funny that some of the best games I ever pitched were against Cincinnati, Philadelphia, and Boston. Three of the teams that were big opponents on the team that I was. Boston when I was with the Yankees, and the Reds and the Phillies when I was with the Dodgers. And good players make you go to a little higher level.
Oh, yeah.
Of ability.
They focus the height, and everything is heightened to that extent, the build up for it. And some people can handle it. And obviously you were one, although if you'd have hit better, you would have won more games. I understand that you had 188 no decisions.
188 no decisions. Yeah.
Now that's unheard of.
I know.
That is unheard of. I mean, that in itself, with 288 wins, and those no decisions meant that you got you went deep in the game most of the time. I think the first game that I faced you, and I didn't like facing you because you wouldn't throw the fastball down the middle. You kept cunny thumbing little stuff up there on the edges and everything else. Cunny thumbing is just when you won't throw it hard. You're going to cut speeds. You're going to move a little more. You'll throw a slider out there. You'll throw the sinker out there. You're never going to give in. You're just going to nibble around the edges. One of those cunny thumbers. Yeah, that's all it is. Just do it like that. Throw it like a man, for God's sake. We'd scream that from the dugout. Somebody challenge somebody. That's what. Now, I wish I had a different approach. I didn't have great success against you, but I wish I'd had a different approach, because Randy Jones, not similar left-handed, not a little less velocity, if you can believe that, but he was. I couldn't hit him with a boat oar, and Bob Bailey one day said before the game, I said, I can't hit this guy, and he said, well, look for his slider, and I said, he doesn't throw me a slider. He said, just look for the slider. Well, when I looked for the slider, the sinker just turned over and sat. It was like on a tee. I hit 3 home runs that night. So tell me when your next start is, because I want to get even, okay?
You had a home run off me, didn't you?
I know I got one off of you, but you got me a lot more. That's still what it is. You still cunny thumbed it up there. I don't care. I'm not changing my attitude about you.
I got the ball. I threw it over the plate, or not down the middle, but on the corners. And you would have to hit it. And hopefully would hit it to where my infielders or outfielders were. And that was, to me, that was pitching. Well, the first game I won in the big leagues, I pitched 9 innings and I threw 72 pitches.
Oh, geez. Well, then you got him to hit the ball. You weren't out there to overpower anybody. Nobody would look at your stats. They would say 288 wins, 188 no decisions, but they would, some people are still eaten up with the fact that you need so many strikeouts. You and Greg Maddox and guys like that were masters of the craft. And so if you don't look at numbers like that, if you get obsessed with that, then 72 pitches, that's ridiculous.
Well, I would say I averaged, when I won ball games, it would be maybe in the low 90s.
Yeah, sounds right.
And that's the speed of my fastball now. That's the number of pitches.
So let's just give the folks a little bit of what was the top end of that blazing fastball?
You
had one. You had one. You just wouldn't throw it.
I wouldn't throw it. I could throw it 90, 91 miles an hour, but I chose to throw 84 to 87.
Right. Yeah. And
So
you're
I-
glad.
So I could take speed off or add speed on.
I want to find out about the Tommy John surgery and what you felt the first time, and what diagnosis was there. I mean, you had to see some doctor and he had to say, I've never seen this before, or you're washed up, you're done, your career's over, right?
No, I had a doctor with the Dodgers. His name was Frank Jobe. And when I hurt my elbow, we didn't have MRIs. All we had were X-rays. So all they could see was the bone in my elbow, and it was fine. But my elbow was loose. And Dr. Jobe said, I think you've torn the ligament in your elbow. And my comeback to him was, okay, what do we do? And he said, well, I've never really done this before on somebody that makes a living throwing a baseball. I said, okay, then don't do the surgery. If we don't do the surgery, you'll never pitch again. And he said, you probably won't pitch again. Probably won't pitch is a heck of a lot better than never pitch. So I said, okay, let's do it. And that was
what age were you at this time?
That was 1974. I was 31, which is quite old, actually.
It is, yeah, for a left-handed pitcher, and back in those days, you were over the hill at 32, 33. They were going to farm you out anyway, put you out to pasture.
Well, they would have put me out to pasture with the Dodgers, but fortunately for me, they got a new shepherd in by the name of Lasorda.
The wizard.
One of the great characters in the history of sports. He always had a bounce in his step. He was always optimistic.
The world revolved around Tommy when he was in the room. He'll be dearly missed.
He loved you, cared about you for who you were and not what you look like or what you believe. That was just him. And that's the special thing and what we're going to miss about Tommy Lasorda.
When you were around him, you could feel the energy. He had a love of life. I mean, that's what you feel.
He bled Dodger blue, that was real. He bled baseball, that was real. A wonderful ambassador.
He was larger than life. He was bigger than he was the Dodgers.
71 years in an organization, 93 years old, 20 years as a manager. I mean, when you think Dodger blue, you thought Tommy Lasorda.
Tommy loved the Dodgers. He loved baseball. This year he was there in Texas, and that's one of my proudest moments that we got to fulfill one of his dreams.
And what stands out to me still, Brian, to this day is the 1988 playoff run to the World Series title, the Gibson home run, but really the fact that that team was an overachieving type of club that was fueled by his positiveness, his positivity.
When I think about why I achieved success, and it's hard, but it was because of what he committed into my life and then did not let you let up from it on a daily basis. You're talking about a person that is one of a kind. And to play for Tommy Lasorda, it was a one-of-a-kind experience. The stories are endless.
I was right in the front row, but obviously Vlad let the bat go, and then Tommy just flat out yard sale right there. And Zimmer's like, you serious? Just athleticism. We're both older guys, but clean it up. So Tommy comes over. Tommy's a funny guy. Like, he always has the best stories. I can't remember exactly what he said, but whatever he said was really funny at the time. I was just like, oh yeah, I can't believe I'm here at the All-Star game. It's pretty awesome.
You talk about baseball BS. Everything that came out of his mouth was BS.
Sure. He was the best car salesman I ever saw.
Oh, Yes, he could sell you a used car and all that. Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what he did one time. He would always call us up. Hey, TJ, can you come get me tonight? Okay. So I go by his house, pick him up, pick up Bill Russell, pick up Bert Hooton, and maybe Joe Ferguson, and we go to the ballpark.
Well, you were going to the ballpark? He made you pick you up and take you to the ballpark?
Yeah.
Attaboy, Tommy.
When he was a manager, we'd have to go by and pick him up. Now, how many managers did Sparky Anderson ever call you up and say, hey, JB?
Never did. No, he never did.
Respected and treasured by his players and fans for his sunny disposition, George Sparky Anderson was adept at managing diverse personalities. He compiled 2,194 victories over a 26-year career with the Reds and Tigers, a total that at his retirement was third all-time, behind only Connie Mack and John McGraw. While with the Reds, Anderson earned the nickname Captain Hook for his quick removal of struggling starting pitchers. He was selected Manager of the Year 4 times, twice each with the Reds and the Tigers.
You still play golf?
No. No, warranty ran out on all my parts. I just sort of didn't enjoy it, but at the same time, I had 78 chips taken out of my shoulder from the foul balls and tore up the cartilage. I had to reattach my bicep. I suffered from the car wreck I had when I was 18, a drunk driver on the wrong side of the 4-lane. And so, and I've got boys now, they're 17 and 13, and then Bobby's 33. So right now, my whole life is centered around tennis, soccer, school, fixing breakfast, getting them off to school at 7 o'clock in the morning, feeding them at night, and I'm perfectly happy. I haven't made a bogey in quite a while.
You used to play quite a bit, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I played 9 senior tour events. Yeah, I played well through a period of time, and then that drunk driver, when the impact was on I went out to pass a bus on a 4-lane highway, and here's the drunk driver on the wrong side. Hit my brakes, hit me right in the door, and the doctor said, you're going to pay for this later on in your life. So I had to have both hips replaced because of the impact right on the door, and I've got like 5 or 6 bad discs. But I'm a catcher, you know.
There's a high drive to deep right center. That one is going, and it is gone in the upper deck. A tremendous drive on a high outside pitch by Johnny Bench. I was just about to say that Blue doesn't give up many homers either. That's the kind of pitch you rarely see hit on the hard-throwing fastball pitcher like Vida Blue or a Koufax or any other hard thrower. A pitch high and almost in the eyes of Johnny Bench.
And a pitch to Bench. Change into the air to deep right field. Fastball to Bench. And the save. He's done.
The curveball's high to throw by Bench, and he's out for second base. Joe Morgan took the throw.
There's a pretty good jump. Johnny Bench, though, can throw out anybody if he throws a strike, and that's what he threw to Joe Morgan. And they hit Campanera to second. Bench this year threw out 60% of the men who tried to steal on him.
Lead off first base, but that rifle arm, Johnny Bench, what more can you say, Al? You've seen it all year long.
Morgan going, and takes it in foul ground. Here comes Oda, and he is out. The ball game is over.
It's just what life is. You walk like a catcher. That's the good thing about it. When people see me, they say, "Oh, you were a catcher," so they automatically know. Hell, you didn't get this way naturally. You were a catcher. So
if you had to get a foursome, who would be in your foursome? The other 3 golfers.
Bobby Knight, Arnold Palmer, and you always want to say your dad. My dad would have just, I don't know if he could have got the tee in the ground. I felt that way the first time I teed it up with Arnold. I couldn't get the ball on the tee.
I was doing a Pittsburgh Steelers game a few years ago, and I called him up and said, "Hey, I've got a free afternoon. Mind if I drive up to Latrobe, see you?" "Come on up." Went up to the house. No gate, no posse of people around him to insulate the king. Arnold and Kit. And after an hour visit, it was time to get back in the car, and Arnold walks me to the car. I come down the driveway, and I just happened to take one last look up at the house, and I'm glad I did. There was Arnold at the top of the driveway, waving goodbye. Now, there are a lot of people that are big, even more so they think they're big. I don't know how many would have that scene right there play out. That's Arnold Palmer. That's the kind of man he is.
I
was fortunate enough when I retired. My manager at the time, Mike Burnett, told me one day we have an opportunity that we're going to play the four of us, McCormick and Mr. Palmer and Mike Burnett and myself, and we played Bay Hill. And one of the par threes was over water. Mr. Palmer said, you know, I think it's a 3-iron. And his caddy said, no, Mr. Palmer, it's a 2-iron. And he hit his 3-iron short and he hit it into the water. And his caddy said, I told you, Mr. Palmer, it's a 2-iron. And he put another ball down on the ground and hit the 3-iron and he knocked it in for a 3. And he looked at the caddy and he said, I told you it was a 3-iron. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Arnold was the king. Arnold was doing it. And then Bobby Knight, oldest son, is named after Bob Hope and Bobby Knight.
The Bob Hope Christmas Special. Around the Globe with the U.S.O. Starring Ursula Andress, Johnny Bench, Lola Falana, The Gold Diggers, World, Jennifer Hostin, This United Kingdom, Yvonne Orm, and Les Brown and his band of renown.
Now, but I love this place, the Utapau Hilton. Look at that, John. Look at that. Look at those cliff dwellers back there. Look at them. I can't believe this place is over here, though, with all these buildings. It looks like downtown Peoria was drafted. And they have a wonderful mess hall here, though. It's the first time I've ever seen... All right, let me finish this line. They have a wonderful mess hall here. It's the first time I've ever seen Spam wrapped in a banana leaf. Hey, aren't you glad you waited? Ladies and gentlemen, I know you'll get a kick out of this next cat. At the ripe old age of 22, he was voted the most valuable player in the National Baseball League and was also named Player of the Year. He led both leagues by slamming out 45 home runs and knocking 148 runs. He batted .293 for the season, and here he is, the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds, Mr. Johnny Bench, right here. Welcome to our little junket.
Thank you, Bob, and I'm even surprised you asked me to come with you.
Why are you surprised?
I'm not a girl.
Well, your see-through pants fooled me, I want to tell you that. Johnny, the Gold Diggers are mad about you, but you've ignored them. Why is that?
They are adorable, but they're all married.
Who told you that?
You did.
I did?
Yeah, right after you told me to wear my catcher's mask all the time. I almost starved to death.
Well, I just wanted everyone to know who you are. It's your identification.
I guess you're right. I notice you never go anywhere without your nose.
How are you getting along with the girls?
It could be better, Bob, but there's no privacy. By the way, were you ever an umpire?
What gives you that idea?
You're always looking over my shoulder.
With your batting average, I'm not taking any chances. John, do you think that the players nowadays are smarter than they used to be?
Well, look at it this way, Bob. Right now I could be sitting on the beach in Nassau, a daiquiri in one hand, a blonde in the other. Instead, I'm here in the jungle with you.
Yeah, when did you first notice that you were simple? Well, anyway, you're 23, good-looking, and your hitting and throwing has made you a lot of bread. How come you're not married?
I can run, too.
I've been meaning to ask you, John, why do they call catcher's gear the tools of ignorance?
Well, you got to be a little flaky to be a catcher, which reminds me of a question I've been meaning to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they call them idiot cards?
So I haven't got a big muscle, but look at that chest. Look at that chest.
Gee, I'm sorry about that, Bob. How did it happen?
Well, Johnny, everybody wonders what you talk about when you go out to the mound to confer with the pitcher.
Well, mostly I just try to relax him and ease the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we get in our uniforms and show him?
Okay.
Take a breather, Lefty. Get a load of chick in the fifth row.
I did. Why do you think I walked the last 4 men?
Wow, is that a skirt she's wearing or a belt?
help, this war will end within the next year. And we'll have the satisfaction of knowing that we've preserved the freedom of not only South Vietnam, but also of Southeast Asia. 45,000 of our Americans have paid the full price, and 250,000 more have been wounded in this conflict. And I think the least all of us Americans can do is to work together for a lasting peace.
And Bobby was just a great friend. We fished, we fly fished. I've only been shot one time hunting along the creek, and it's windy as hell. You couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear the birds flush or anything else. They were on the other side of the creek, and it kind of wound around, made a little curve here. So they went around it, and I went ahead. And the next thing you know, I hear bam, bam, and I'm up in front. And fortunately, I've got this real thick hunting jacket on and a hat and everything else. And all of a sudden, splat. I mean, I'm getting pellets all over my back and my hat and everything else. And I immediately hit the ground. And I could hear Bobby back there. Oh, hell, you killed the catcher. You killed the catcher. I was afraid to get up. I thought that was still incoming. I thought they were still taking rounds, But we laughed. We still laughed about that. But we go fishing, we go hunting, we played golf. One of the great moments, and I got to go to the Olympic trials when he was coaching the basketball team for the Olympic. And we were out in San Diego, and I got to practice. I had my own uniform. I got to practice with Jordan and Mullins and Tisdale and Ewing. And I mean, it was just one of those great moments in my life. So I've had some great experiences with Bobby.
Bobby Knight was a good man. We're playing in a golf tournament back in Indiana. I get a phone call like about 6 o'clock in the morning. And they said, we need you to come out and play this morning round and play the afternoon round. Okay. So my dad is my roommate, and he said, what's wrong? Who died? And I said, Pop, not every phone call is a death call. He says, well, when you get my age, it is. And they want me to play with Bob Knight. You're going to play with Coach Knight? Yeah. Oh, I'll be there. I told Bob, I said, now my dad's going to come up in a bit. He said, okay, I'll take care of him. So he comes, and my dad's sitting there, and he said, Mr. John, get your ass over here. Tommy, get your ass over in that cart. So my dad and I flipped carts. And the next 13 holes, Bob Knight and my dad they were yakking it up and talking and laughing. And I said, I don't care what he does. He will never, ever have a bad word in my vocabulary, because he made an old man feel so special that day. That was Bob Knight. People know him as Bob Knight throwing a chair and all that. Well, yeah, he gets a little upset, but he could coach basketball, though, Johnny.
To refer to this whole thing from start to finish as a real Mickey Mouse operation. But that'd be an insult to Mickey Mouse. I'll paraphrase Churchill a little bit when he talked about the Battle of Britain. Never have so many thought they knew so much and actually knew so little. I don't think I would ever qualify as a biblical scholar.
Now the game's over and Indiana's won, and I'm in the locker room, and he's taking me and stepping in front of every locker, introducing me to every player. And we get to Steve Alford. He said, Steve, this is the greatest defensive player ever in the history of baseball. Johnny, would you please tell Steve something about defense? And I said, well, you go out and score 30, your man scores 20. That's defense. God damn, I'm not going to tell me everything. Coach, if every player outscores their guy they're guarding by 10, you're going to win by 50. I said, what the hell do you want anyway? So, yeah, that was our relationship. And, oh my gosh.
But that's good. I love that. That's Coach Knight. That's Bob Knight.
Yes. It is. We have the whole respect. We have our own respect we know the man and we love the man.
Who was your favorite teammate?
Now that would be hard because we were blessed. There was nobody better than Tony Perez. Joe Morgan and I were so close together. Pete and I were in business for had, Jack Billingham. I don't think there was a guy on there, and you can take Cesar Geronimo and Pedro Borbon. I don't think there was a guy on there that I could say anything negative about. They were just absolutely quality, wonderful people. And I still talk to a lot of them.
And I tell you what, they could play baseball too.
You noticed that? Yeah, I was blessed, obviously, when people do that. And I still speak across the country, and people come up to me and said, I was a Cub fan. I was a Phillies fan, but boy, we respected you guys. They know where everybody was in the lineup. Across Griffey, in their outfield. And, it was like they respected the way we played. And that's what made the Dodgers and us so great, is the fact that, we had continuity. We had the continuity of being together and the players, and you could recognize them. You knew exactly who was going to be there every day, and you could pull for them, and you had an association. Now it's a lot different, but it's a money game now.
The Reds were hailed as the team to watch in the 1970s. In 1975, a more mature Red machine got into a winning gear that wouldn't be slowed, clinching the earliest title in history. The big names were there. Bench, Rose, Perez, Morgan, and a blossoming George Foster. And to go with all that run production, manager Sparky Anderson's quick hook. If ever the Reds were ready for a world championship, it was now. And the fans really got their money's worth. Cincinnati fought through 7 hard games with Boston in the most exciting fall classic of the decade. The 75 series may have done more to promote new interest in baseball than anything else. When Will McEnany delivered the final pitch to Carl Yastrzemski, the Reds had at last won their first World Series in 35 years. A year later at Yankee Stadium, the Reds were back in the series, and Johnny Bench back in his power groove.
Get a boy! Get out of here! Get out of here! Boys, I got news for you. We're going to be world champions again, Sugar Bear. I got news for you. We are now going to be world champions again.
With Bench making an impressive comeback from injury, Cincinnati made a clean 4-game sweep of the Yankees. Sparky Anderson thought it time for the experts to rate his club among the best of all time.
Because you got some guy sitting up there from Harvard or Yale that's into analytics telling the pitching coach or the manager when this guy should hit or when this guy, the pitcher should pitch and how many pitches and all that. Come on.
Tommy, this is very vital. You have to know what the barometric pressure is. You know how much the wood and the speed of the bat, the velo and the launch. I mean, you really got to get up with it, man. You're getting old. I can't tell you, it's like Sparky, they asked Sparky, said, how do you judge talent? And he went,
right there. Yes.
I can see it.
Yes.
I can see it. You watch a guy throw and he said, ooh, this guy's got some stuff. This guy's got potential. This guy's got a release point. This guy's not hiding the ball. He's not allowing the ball to come out of the glove. He doesn't have a blind spot. He's not doing this. He's not changing speed. You can see that in a matter of nanoseconds. And
Absolutely.
Yet we still have a guy that's been sitting in the basement that still doesn't know, how to hit a fungo, but he's got it all down. And here you are, and you're running it. And I think they're getting away from it a little bit, but at the same time, a lot of it's good clock. I love it. Now the bases.
I like the pitch clock because
you would have. They could have made it 10 seconds for you.
Well, my was if I got you to hit before you were ready to hit, I had you.
Sure.
And I got the ball, boom, got back, got my sign, threw it, got the ball, boom, threw it. Let's go.
I can't compute that fast. Yeah, you're a cunny thumber. I don't care still.
Cunny thumber. I was a cunny thumber.
Took you how many wins? 288?
Yep. 288, and then I had the surgery done. I missed half of the 74 season, all of the 75 season, and then I came back and I pitched 76 to 79, and I never missed a start.
Really?
In the 13 years, never missed a start. I asked Dr. Jobe, I said, what do you want me to do? You know, when he took the cast off and all that. And he said, well, just get ready as if you were going to pitch a game. Okay. So he let me throw, and I started throwing to my wife in the backyard. And, you know, you just throwing the ball, little bloops there. And then I moved up to my neighbor who played softball. I threw to him. Then we went to spring training, and down at Vero Beach, they have a wall. And I would go out there with 6 new baseballs, take a ball, throw it against the wall, boom. Throw it against the wall. And that's what I did. And I did that 6 days a week. Sunday was my day of rest. And Monday I'd go back and I'd start throwing again. And I found there that the more I threw, the better my arm felt. So I went, whoa, okay. And from that time on, I threw almost every day.
Yeah.
When I got back on the field, I pitched out of I threw out of the bullpen and pitched a game. Instead of taking the next day off, I threw to a catcher, Mark Cressy, in the Dodger. Just threw.
You go out to spring training, the first person that talks is the trainer. And you can only throw 60 pitches. You can only throw 40 pitches. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. I swear, the trainers now, and they've never, as far as I know, ever entered a major league game. I don't know how they can get inside in the neurons and start deciphering between how the brain's going to send the signal to the nerves in the arms and say you can only go 58 pitches or 62. But they're the first ones to talk now. And they're the first one to put you on the shelf. And they're the first ones that says, you know, too many pitches.
Wow.
That's the one I get frustrated with, is more so than anything else. But it's past us. It's past us. They've done all right without us, I guess.
I guess they have, although every day I sit there and God, why couldn't my dad kept his pants zipped 50 more years so I could have hit some of the big money.
Yeah. Oh, well, we could say, you know, what would you do for $500 million? I made 2.2 in my entire career. They make that in more than almost a week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, Johnny, it's been a pleasure talking to you.